What is going on, YouTube? Welcome back to another episode. Now before we start, you see it on your screen, all the details for the giveaway right here. Make sure that you guys are listening for the 2 questions I'll ask you to post in the comments. Make sure that you're subscribed and that you're liking the video in order to partake in this giveaway. Now, enough about that. We're going to take a look at a little something before we get into this cover of 18. This man right here. Alright, and this is going to be important in a second, just bear with me. Let's go into his ability. Now let's look at this right here. Okay, so bottom of the page here, we have 50% to blast damage inflicted against tag android. Also, when he gets switched on up on the top here, inflicts them with a downgrade that makes them take 35% to blast damage received. So you've got 50, you've got another 35. That's no gimmicks, just he jumps onto the field and he's doing like 85% more blast damage to androids just because they're androids. Also, we have a God's Wisdom, where he not only removes his color, he ends up doing 50% more blast damage for another 15 timer counts. So there's 50, there's 35, there's another 50, but wait, there's more. If he comes down here, you can add another 10, but more importantly, he can go ahead and reduce the enemy's cover cut by 40%. So now, when we go back over to our new 18, this right here has been cried about and complained and just so much whining that I've been seeing since yesterday's release, and from YouTubers as well. And I think that bothered me more than anything because YouTubers, I mean, they cover content like this almost daily, and I mean they know better. You know, this is spreading. I would say I would use the term FUD, which is basically it's shenanigans. And you know, this has been around. This is nothing new. You know, other characters have had some kind of overpowered mechanic, right? Whether it's Super Saiyan 2 Gohan on the hybrids, whether it's Gogeta on the Saiyans. Now we have 18. We had Kamikolo. You know, all the teams have something that's overpowered against whatever. I mean, the Saiyans and the hybrids, they just do it to everybody. So I mean, I don't know what we're complaining about here. Now that's number 1. Number 2. Hybrids, this is a good thing for you guys, and I'll explain why. First of all, if they're using Krillin, I mean that's stupid, but I don't think anybody's actually going to do that. It's more about the 40% to hybrids, right? And you saw what I can do in that little reel at the start here. Now, this is a good thing because hybrids now have items that counter them, and they have this ability right here that counters them. And this is important because Cell also does, I believe, 40% blast damage to Super Saiyans, which is mostly what makes up the hybrid team. Now, Bandai basically has no choice but to acknowledge that there is a big kind of attack on the hybrid team, and they'll have to give you guys some outplay potential finally. They'll have to give you guys that defensive unit that you so desperately need. You know, this didn't kill hybrids. Hybrids have been dead since we got Gotenks, and he brought nothing to the table that the hybrid team need. He just brought more damage that they did not need. I mean, Gohan is still a better purple unit. You know, it's not about this ability here. Now, the last thing I'll say about this ability is that if you're looking at the whole meta, okay? Now, unless you're someone who's just, you know, not a good player and you have to rely on the power that hybrids bring and hope that you can hit your opponent to try and win a match, then, you know, whatever, this sucks to be you, right? But if 18 is going against literally anybody else, she effectively doesn't have a unique ability here. In this slot, this just goes completely to waste. I mean, even if you nerf yourself and bring Krillin, you're still not doing anything. It's only to hybrids, right? So that's number 1. So number 2, now, the rest of her kit is a little bit more streamlined, I would say, with the new units. So look at here, we've got -10 to own strike arts from the start of the battle. So basically, you can chain on your combos into super cards way more effectively. I mean, you can pop a strike card, a blast card, and then still use a blue card if you wanted. This is great for starting off a battle into bigger cards. I mean, people were kind of saying, oh, but you know, you can't sidestep and get your cards back anyway, so what does it matter? It matters a lot, because if you're switching into 18 at the start of the battle, after maybe you've already done a combo with whatever unit you were using at the beginning, she comes in and she lowers that cost down 10, right? So this is a really big deal. I really like this. This is a great mechanic, because most of the mechanics have been reserved for the end of the game, right? Some kind of catch-up mechanic or something. This is great to see something to kind of be oppressive off the bat, which is something that I think people will have to get used to dealing with. The Z ability, you guys know how upset I am about this. I don't know why they keep doing this to blue units, but it's not altogether unexpected. You know, the other 18, yellow 18, only buffs women. The Cell is buffing regeneration for some reason. 17 only buffs purple, and now this 18 only buffs blue. It's following the theme. I guess I have to be okay with it, just because it's not altogether unexpected. However, I do find that it's starting to get pretty heavy in terms of scaling potential, just because if you look at the team as a whole, I just mentioned, you know, 4 main units now that you're going to be using on this team that aren't buffing each other at all, right? You have the yellow 18 that's buffing this 18, but I mean, I don't really see that as good team synergy, right? So right now their kits are kind of carrying, but as the stats inflate as we level up, you know, percentage-based boosts like this are going to start to matter a lot, right? When you talk about the stats that, you know, people like Janemba and Majin Buu have, having good synergistic teams are going to start to matter a lot as the numbers increase and we're getting percentage buffs. So this will be to watch. For now, it's fine, I guess, since you're relying for on this unit for damage. So it's good that she's buffing herself. She's getting buffs from at least the remaining 3 units. You know, but we'll see how this kind of pans out in the future. Maybe they'll change everything, right? Maybe when we level up, they'll start changing things. Who knows, right? Cool Beauty, 40% to damage inflicted for 20 timer counts. This is the greatest thing that they could have added to androids. I was saying that the damage was starting to fall off for androids, and that you're starting to rely more and more on that cover change and, you know, having that second rising rush with 16. Well, now we have something that won't force us into that corner of trying to eliminate a key target with the sacrifice of 16, right? This here, you can pop it whenever you want. So you see that I generally pop it mid-combo. I'll try and get a hit off for a guaranteed hit, right? And I'll pop it right after that first card and get the rest of my combo off with 40% damage inflicted and have that 20 timer ticking from that point on. So generally I'll try and do it off a switch. In the first clip you see me switch to 18. That means I can complete my combo with 40% more damage and then still have Vanish for the outplay, right? It falls back to a neutral screen. So if I get a solid Vanish outplay or something, then this is still up and I'm continuing the pain, right? So love this. This is great gameplay. I mean, I know a lot of people are going to be upset about it, but we're going to move on just because I think that we need faster paced games. You saw people with like Janemba and the strategies that are being used right now, where Janemba is basically just standing around, key blasting you if you try to go in melee, using a skill card if you try to blast him. It's a little bit, you know, annoying to say the least, which brings me to this key card here, which the Vanishing Gauge buffs I am on the fence about. Okay, let me kind of go over this for just a second, because they're getting items that reduce the Vanish Gauge. We're getting skills that reduce the Vanish Gauge. We're getting blue cards that reduce the Vanish Gauge. I believe it's Janemba whose blue card reduces his Vanish. You know, we've come a long ways from the old sidestep giving you back your Vanish Gauge and, you know, Zarbon type mechanics, but I think that they're trying to address the Vanish situation that we lost from sidestep and making it more predictable. You know, you can kind of tell there's outplay potential, right? The problem with the Vanish Gauge on the recovery on the old sidestep was that there was not a whole lot of outplay. You could literally just take over the match and wipe someone out just because you got that first hit, while maintaining that same character, right? Do I think this is balanced? I think they went a little too far with the 50 key. I think that they should have just made it the Vanish Gauge, and that would have been fine, while increasing the cost, your +5 cost to own special cards and all that. I do think that this right here may be overpowered, if I'm being completely honest. I mean, I love it because I love this character, right? But I mean, if I'm trying to be an objective commentator, I do think that they went too far with this skill card. But we'll see. I love both of these, the 50 key, the 40% Vanish Gauge reduction, just overall great. But maybe a bit much. Maybe it needs a little toning down. This ability here, the blue card, this amazing damage. Gives you 40% chance to inflict paralyze. I love this because now we have both 18 and 17 that can bring the paralyze. Very, very cool. 20% to strike damage received. Again, I think this is a bit too much. I would have liked to have seen, again, speaking objectively, I would have liked to have seen if they're really going to add strike damage received, maybe make it 10%, cut that in half. 20% and the paralyze. It's a bit much because basically you can land this, see them get paralyzed while you're charging up, and basically you get a free hit with 20% strike damage. I think that's a little bit much when you consider the rest of her kit, right? Getting all of this damage, especially if you're against our poor hybrids here, that may be a bit much. But that being said, guys, her stats, I believe that this is as fair as they could have made it, given what we got with Gogeta and the newer units, I guess. High strike damage, getting that blast damage up. This team definitely needed damage for sure. So I like that they kind of boosted this up. Her strike and blast defense, pretty decent, maybe a bit high. I mean, this is a 3-star model, so I would have liked to see maybe early 36,000 on both. I think maybe going to 37,000 for the blast is a bit much. Just tone it down a little bit. When you have this much damage on a unit, you should not have much defense to counteract it, right? That said, Perfect Cell has very similar stats. I believe the stats are higher for certain stats. I would have to double check. Actually, we can check right now. Perfect Cell, his stats, so he had 59 for blast, 55 for strike, so it's basically a flip of 18, but he has a bit higher on the blast attack while having 36 and 36 for the defenses. See, this is what I was expecting. So he compensates a little lower defense with a bit higher blast. That's fine. It's comparable. I guess I can't say much there because it's kind of been the theme. But I do think that it's a bit much given her kit is what I'm getting at. Perfect Cell doesn't get these huge buffs just for being Perfect Cell. He gets them against Super Saiyans, but it's very limited. So that being said, guys, I know this is a bit of a long video, but I really wanted to push the point home in a positive way about 18, just because people are telling you not to summon on this banner. Guys, this banner, definitely, if you have most of these units, it may not be worth. Like, I didn't see Perfect Cell drop at all in the crystals that I spent, right? So, if you're trying to pull for one unit, for example, maybe not completely worth it. But if you're missing maybe 16 and 18, definitely worth it. Definitely roll on this. This will be a solid counter team for the possible upcoming Saiyan units. We're talking about Goku Black, we're talking about Super Saiyan 3 Goku, we're talking about, who was it, Kefla. So kind of think about, okay, what do you want to do this season? Where is this season going? What are we getting next week on a new banner possibly, right? Are we just going to get Goku Black straight up? And prioritize is what I'm saying. Just listening to people crying about this and acting like it's nothing. This unit is great. It is so much fun. The team is now fun again. They were second place because they had the utility, but now they're actually fun to play in the way Saiyans are. So on that note, guys, your 2 questions for the giveaway. First question, have you pulled 18? Did you summon on this banner at all? Actually, let's make that the question. Have you summoned on this banner at all? And our second question will be, how do you feel about 18 right now? I genuinely want to hear from my subscribers, because I know that you guys, so far at least in the comments, have not hopped on the kind of bandwagons, right? And I do believe that I have subs that come here to learn about the game and are keeping an open mind about things. So don't let my opinion of her influence you. Give me your honest opinion of why you think she's bad. If you think she's bad, if you think she's great, let me know why. That being said, guys, remember, subscribe, like the video, and I will see you in the next one. See ya.